So here is a great way to release your glutes, and I'm going to use tune-up balls and a cordless ball because depending on where you're at in your recovery, one might work better for you, or both. Warming up with the cordless ball because it's nice and forgiving, and then honing in on some spots that are really aggravating you with the tune-up balls. So I would always start with the air-filled cordless ball because again, it's forgiving. You're simply going to sit on the ball and think of it as you have sat in your car or your desk and you let those tissues kind of get sticky and adhere to it itself. So we're simply going to roll around on the ball. Now the more inflated it is, the more intense it is. So if it's super tender, you can always take some air out of the ball. So I'm going into the hamstring, past the bone I sit on, down there. I'm coming onto the side, getting into glute med, because a lot of times we'll have some issues with the hip there. So we're really getting the whole area, and think of it as a good way to get blood flow to the area after you've been holding it tight and restricting it all day, depending on what you're doing. And you're going to just take a few minutes to warm up the entire thing, making sure you get all the way up to the crest of the pelvis. And it's going to feel really awkward at first, but you'll get the hang of it as you practice more. Make sure you do it on both sides and kind of spend some time warming everything up. Once you're warmed up on both sides, you can grab your tune-up balls. Now you can use them in the case, the little netted bag, so they're together, or you can take one out at a time. So with two together, it's less intense as there's more surface area. Now I have this leg bent behind me, so I'm putting weight into my opposite leg so that it's not all of my body weight on the balls, and I'm using my hand. So I'm suspending myself with this hand and this foot so that it's not all that pressure directly on the ball. And we're kind of just squooshing around, trying to find where there might be a tender spot. Once I find a tender spot, I can drop my knee out to the side, kind of letting it sift or sink into that area and bringing it back and forth, kind of working the ball nice and gently into the area. Again, supporting myself with the opposite hand and foot so that it's not all my weight into the ball. You can come down onto my elbow and roll into the side there. Again, I'm really supporting myself with this arm and this foot. You can even use the other hand. Now, this might be too much, and you can go back to the blown up ball. And again, once you find an area that feels like it's a good spot, you can move the knee, and that's going to kind of work the ball into that spot. You don't want to squish the ball onto a bony area. Then you can try just one ball. So again, you can lean on there, and you're going to, now I have very low pressure on there, so I'm just really gently kind of working around the area to see what may be tight. And I don't want to do it for a long amount of time and with a ton of pressure so that it's so much pressure it feels like I'm tensing up against it. Another good trick, if it's very sore with the balls, would be to take it to the wall, because then you can really customize the pressure that you're using. So for glute release on the wall, you just need to find a wall and your ball, and you're gonna trap the ball between your glute and the wall. So the more pressure I lean into the wall, the more intense that it is. So you can have your feet closer to the wall, less pressure, there's barely any pressure at all on the ball, and that's just like a really easy warm-up. The further my feet get away from the wall, the more I lean back into the wall, the more intense it is. So we're kind of rolling all the way along there, getting the entire area. So not just like the fleshy part of your butt, but all the way up to the crest of the pelvis, all the way out to the side. And once you find a spot that might be bothering you, you can stay there, or you can squeeze the glute. So it's like trying to push the ball out of the muscle. Hold and then relax and kind of let yourself sink into the ball a little bit more. Find another spot, squeeze the glute so that it pushes you away from the ball, and then relax and let the muscle sink into the ball. So using the ball on the wall is much more forgiving and easier. Easier to do with a single ball. On the floor, you can use them in the case, but I would always start with the cordless ball. It's a good warm-up, good way to get blood flow moving and to get your lymph flow moving so that you don't have stagnant lymph or blood in the area. So let me know what you think.